You know, like Myron said up on stage, your biggest expense of life is your lack of knowledge. So if you're a salesperson or an entrepreneur or a business owner, the only thing that separates you right here from where you want to be is your what? Your lack of knowledge. You acquire those skills. As a salesperson, nobody's born with advanced questioning skills. You're not born out of your mother's womb with advanced tonality skills. You're not born with advanced objection, prevention, and handling skills. Those are all acquired skills. You learn those skills. You know who I got it from? Brian Tracy. So I went to my first sales seminar, 2001, Salt Lake City, Utah. Brian was up there, and I remember one thing he said that I took to the gospel. He's like, use your vehicle as a university on wheels. And from that day forward, I remember going out, I didn't listen to music really ever again. Ever since then, I've either read or listened to 5 books a month on sales, persuasion, influence times 12 months a year. So that's 60 books a year times 23 years while I'm driving around in the car. And people are always like, I don't have time to learn training. I'm like, BS, you know what? You have the time, you're doing other stuff to distract you with the time you have. Like if you're driving down the road and you're listening to Taylor Swift, Taylor, we love you. Or if you're listening to your favorite motivational AC/DC pump you up songs or whatever you listen to, how much money is that making you every month? 0. Bagels. When I'm driving around, I want to listen. Like if I'm a marketer like you, I'm probably listening to like how to be a better marketer, like how to do my ads better, how to do this better, because that's the best place to learn is literally while you're just driving around your freaking car. Yeah.
Like right now, you're basically the hottest sales trainer around.
I have no idea.
Yesterday I read this, I think it's an article or something. A great sales trainer is attractive, knowledgeable, and has personality. And you can...
Well, I don't know if I have the personality. I do have the knowledge. The attractiveness is debatable.
Well, he never ages. And I'm not going to mention his age, but I've known him for like 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
How important is it to have supportive people around you? You know, when people start off, doing sales, doing marketing, whatever, it's like, how important is it? And how do you have supportive people around you?
Yeah, a lot of times when you start a business, you have to, because a lot of us don't have tens of millions of dollars to I'm going to go out and hire everybody, I'm going to get the CEO from Apple to come work for me. So sometimes the first year you have to kind of bootstrap it, right? But after the first year, I'm like, okay, I need to have, it was me and my assistant, which is still with me, Beth Jolly, head of customer service now. Got promoted, I love Beth. So after that first year, I'm like, man, I'm not very good at running a business. The first year, we made $1.3 million in sales. I did like 3 webinars. I spent 1.8. So that means I lost 500,000 my first year. I'm like, okay, how many years can I keep going if I keep losing 500,000-600,000 a year before I'm gonna have to go back into my job, And so after that, I'm like, I need to get somebody that's really talented at running a business because that's not my strength. So I'd always encourage, all of you, if you're going to start a business, that you find a business partner or partners. I wouldn't have more than 3. I think after 3, 2 to 3 is always the magic number in my mind. So we have me, we have Matt Wright, our CEO, and Marco Cortese, our Chief Revenue Officer. And they each are very strong in certain areas, and they're weak in others, and I'm strong in certain areas, maybe that they're weak, and vice versa. So it's like we're all 3 have our strengths and weaknesses, and we balance each other out in those areas, and that's why it's grown so fast. So I really understand that you can have the greatest product, the greatest service, greatest whatever you sell, but if you don't have the right team around you, it just takes so long to get anywhere. And once you get the right team, it's just like everything changes, and it's happened to us. Like, we wouldn't be, everybody comes up to be like, oh, you're crushing it, you're doing it. I'm like, no, my team is crushing it. I'm just the guy on the ads and that does the training. Without the team, there's no crushing it, No team, no crushing it.
I love it. Yesterday I read this, I think it's an article or something. A great sales trainer is attractive, knowledgeable, and has personality. And you can...
Well, I don't know if I have the personality. I do have the knowledge. The attractiveness is debatable.
Well, he never ages. And I'm not going to mention his age, but I've known him for like 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
And when I was starting with you, I was a young kid. I was 22 years old. Yeah. You were my first high-ticket client.
Yeah.
You paid me like $175,000.
A long time ago, yeah.
That changed my life because the following year I became a millionaire.
Yeah.
And I remember going to your house. You lived in this mansion. Obviously, I come from London. You don't have mansions in London.
12,000 square foot.
Yeah. So I live in a very nice penthouse.
Yeah.
It's about 2,000 or 2,500 square feet.
That's big for London.
So it's nice in London.
Yeah.
But when I went there, I remember young kid,
Yeah.
kind of broke. You know, you were my first high ticket client.
Yeah.
I went out to see you, and you had all these books.
Yeah.
And I had heard this thing. I never internalized it.
Yeah.
Like right now, I've never owned a TV. It's
Yeah.
been like, since I started,
Yeah.
13, 14 years.
Yeah.
The reason why I share that is, I remember seeing you disciplined. After 3, 4 p.m., you're like, okay, work's over. And I'm like, what do you mean work's over, man? You're like, no, it's my kids' time. It's gym time. And you'd be up every morning early. I learned a lot of these habits from you, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you this.
I don't think you told me
Even
that.
books as well. I remember thinking, he's so rich. Why does he read books? And I don't know if
That's
you,
what got me rich.
yeah, and and I was like, okay, instead of watching TV and being entertained, I need to educate myself and read books. Obviously, you have a book.
Yeah.
You are proper into education, books, courses, training.
Yeah.
You know, you learn from. How is that? Do you still learn?
You know, like Myron said up on stage, your biggest expense of life is your lack of knowledge. So if you're a salesperson or an entrepreneur or a business owner, the only thing that separates you right here from where you want to be is your what? Your lack of knowledge. Quite literally, that is the only thing that separates you. So if you want to be an amazing marketer, the only thing that would separate you from not being is your lack of knowledge of how to market. So you acquire those skills. As a salesperson, nobody's born with advanced questioning skills. You're not born out of your mother's womb with advanced tonality skills. You're not born with advanced objection prevention and handling skills. Those are all acquired skills. You learn those skills. And since I was 22, you know who I got it from? Was Brian Tracy.
Brian
He
Tracy.
was my first event I went to.
Have you met Brian?
Yeah, I'm actually I got Brian on speed out here.
Oh, nice.
When I
met
started
him
seventh
actually.
level
Yeah.
4.5 years ago, our first product I did was called the Ultimate Closers Masterclass. I did it with Brian Tracy.
Okay.
He's a good dude. But so I went to my first sales seminar. It was like 2001, Salt Lake City, Utah. And Brian was up there, and I remember one thing he said that I took to the gospel. He's like, use your vehicle as a university on wheels. And from that day forward, I remember going out, I didn't listen to music really ever again.
Yeah.
Like literally, back in the day, you'd plug in CDs, now you have audiobooks. But ever since then, I've either read or listened to 5 books a month on sales, persuasion, influence, times 12 months a year. So that's 60 books a year, times 23 years. That's
Wow.
about 1,450 some books on sales, persuasion, influence. Now, I didn't read all 5 every month. I typically will read 2, and then I listen to 3 while I'm driving around in the car. And people are always like, I don't have time to learn training. I'm like, BS, you know what? You know what I do? Because, you know, I'm a crazy, I do 2 things that are pretty crazy. I always floss my teeth all the time when I eat. I'm crazy like that. And then I always iron all my clothes. So every morning I'm sitting there ironing my pants, ironing my shirt. I've got my phone on, my things on. Right now I'm going through an advanced body language course. And I might only have 5 minutes while I'm ironing. So I'll watch it for 5 minutes. Then I'll get in my car, plug it in, driving to the chiropractor for 10 minutes. I'm listening to that, so I got 15 minutes in. Then I'm driving back to the office, another 15 minutes. Now I'm at 30 minutes for the day. Then before I go to bed, maybe I'm sitting there eating at night. I turn it on for like another 15, 20 minutes. I just learned about 50 minutes worth of advanced body language just that day by driving around.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you have the time, you're doing other stuff to distract you with the time you have. Like if you're driving down the road and you're listening to Taylor Swift, Taylor, we love you. Or if you're listening to your favorite motivational, AC/DC pump you up songs or whatever you listen to, how much money is that making you every month? 0. Bagels. So when I'm driving around, I want to listen. Like if I'm a marketer like you, I'm probably listening to like how to be a better marketer, like how to do my ads better, how to do this better, because that's the best place to learn is literally while you're just driving around your freaking car.
Yeah. No,
Crazy.
100%. I mean, I remember developing so many habits after meeting you.
Yeah.
Because it was the first time I actually lived with someone who was very wealthy. Actually, you were the first guy, right? So I remember, like, it was a huge experience. I never went to a house that had a swimming pool, right? Like,
It was huge.
In
It
London,
was a
you
huge
don't have
house.
that stuff. So
Yeah.
I remember, like, being a kid and then seeing, wow, this is how millionaires live. Well, it was you.
Yeah.
And I think I lived with you for, I don't know how many weeks it was.
3 or 4 weeks, I think, something like that. Almost 4 weeks, yeah.
But I remember it had a huge effect, and that immersed, like that immersion, Tony Robbins talks about if you want to learn and master something, immerse yourself in it, right?
Yeah.
How important is it for people, to immerse themselves? And then, this is also the stuff that you teach in your sales training.
Yeah.
I haven't been through sales training in a long time.
Yeah.
maybe I should pick up some courses.
Well, there you go. Maybe you should pick up some courses. There you go. We got 36 now or something.
Okay. And what's your best-selling course right now?
The average course that like an individual salesperson would buy is called NEPQ 3.0 Pro, and that's our 45-hour virtual training platform, 45 hours of training content from everything from connection questions to get them to let their guard down, situation questions, problem awareness, solution awareness, consequence, how to present, how to close or commit them to take the next step. And then they have, wait for it, 57 training calls a week. Now,
What?
we don't expect
Yeah.
them to be on 57 training calls, but we have clients in all time zones all over the world. So we have sales trainers in all time zones over the world that do different training for those time zones.
Wow.
So if you're in Hong Kong, you're not like having to wake up at 2 a.m. to watch Jeremy on a training call. We've got sales trainers in Asia that are actually doing NEPQ there, right?
Yeah.
So you're on their training calls, and you still have the archive versions of me. We have training calls for Europeans, right? All that stuff, advanced tonality, advanced objection prevention, advanced objection handling. I even do one of those training calls per week where I teach them how to make NEPQ specific to their industry. That's like an hour and a half group training call that sometimes has thousands of people on there. So that's probably the one that most people buy if they're an individual salesperson selling anything. And then we of course have like company training for companies that have anywhere from 5 sales reps to our biggest client has almost 30,000 sales reps.
Wow.
And they go through the virtual training platform and they have different training calls for their groups as well by me and our account managers.
Jeremy, I've known you for obviously a very long time.
Yeah.
Back then you were making 100 grand a month. Now you're making about 100 grand a day.
I think we make a lot more than that, but that's good. But it's
That's-
not all profit.
yeah,
Let's
so-
say we have $300,000 in sales a day. I mean, you're not profiting all that.
Yeah.
I wish.
Yeah.
But no, we have to have fulfillment costs and we have
Yeah.
marketing costs.
So like, you went from say $1 million a year to what, 50 million?
My best year in sales, I made 2.9 million in income, like commissions. Yeah, but
So-
I think when you first met me, I was making like maybe 1.5 million a year in commissions, but then it got more after that. I got
Yeah.
better.
And so now let's just say you're doing say 35 to 50 million a year.
Yeah.
Okay. How has that personally changed your life?
I don't. It really hasn't.
You're
I'm
not
really
wearing
weird.
Louis Vuitton shoes
No,
and
I don't wear. Yeah.
bowling, and your CEO, by the way, he's
Yeah.
not like that as well. And he said to me yesterday, he goes, I could also afford a $150,000 watch, but,
Yeah.
and he's saying basically, I see people like chains and everyone's, listen, I'm not
Yeah.
judging, but Jeremy is a friend of mine, so I want to always get into the brains of my
Yeah.
friends. So it's like, is it just like a maturity thing or?
I mean, to me, like we could pay ourselves a lot more than what we do, but like we're more focused on like 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 25 years down the road. Like we want Sev Level to be here long after we're gone as an organization, as the largest sales training organization on the planet. We got a lot of work to do. We have to humble ourselves sometimes and realize we don't know everything, that we need to bring in maybe some different people in different areas to help us get to that point. So we'd rather keep more of the money in the company to bring in better people and like more skilled people in certain areas, even positions we don't even have yet, that will be needed as we scale to really get us to eventually where we want to be. So, I mean, I don't like buy stuff at Walmart, which no offense to Walmart, but sometimes the clothes break down fast. So, I might have a $200 pair of jeans on. I like 7 Mankind's, my favorite. This is a Theory shirt, so it's probably $80,
Yeah.
And these boots are maybe $200.
Yeah.
And that's about it, man. Now my underwear, those are $1,000. No, I'm just joking. Just regular underwear. But no, I never really. My
Are
thing
you going to
with-
get in the merch game?
I don't know. The thing with the designer shoes,
Yeah.
I love the way they look, but they're so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I bought a pair of Gucci shoes like a year ago, and I put them on and wore them for a couple of days, and like, man, these are uncomfortable. I never wore them again. So I usually to work I wear like what are they called? Cole Haans.
Yeah.
Like they kind of look a little bit dressy, but they have like the Nike soles. They're like $150.
Yeah.
But they go good with like I wear like maybe some Armani. They're not slacks, but they're kind of the mid between slacks and jeans. They're like $250.
Okay.
That's about my limit.
Yeah.
I'm not buying pants for $1,000. I don't care enough. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's good. And then obviously, because when you make lots of money, you also, different opportunities come along. Some of them, they might not serve you. Like I remember when we were younger, when I was younger, you was also younger. We go in, hey, do you want to invest in oil? You want to invest in gas? You want to invest in this gold mine? You know, and I was like, okay, sign me up.
50
You know,
grand here, 20 grand here, 100 grand
but
here.
for me, it was like 200 grand there, 600 grand there, and I mean,
How much of that did you lose?
I lost over certain figures, like over probably 1.5 million.
I probably lost 90% of that money. There was like a 7-year stretch where all these, when you make a lot of money, everybody, the sharks come out. They're like, oh, if we put in this oil well in South Korea, there's gold mine in a year, you're going to be a trillionaire. Oh, really? Here's 100 grand. 6 months later, company dissolves. Oh my gosh,
I've
Definitely
gone
learned my
through
lesson
that.
from this.
How do you, because you know, your stuff is so good, people watching this, they go through your stuff, they start making money. Right? What advice do you have for people to hold on to that money and to invest wisely? Just from, you know, this is not financial advice. This is just conversations between friends.
What's really helped me, like, I invest with a company called Ameriprise. So I have like a really good financial advisor there that diversifies it all over. I don't get crazy returns, but I get consistent returns. Like I'm not, you know, like there's some, you know, like some crypto, right? Which you love crypto, which is good. Sometimes it's like way up or way down. I love that type of investment, but you don't want to invest everything you have into that. Like if you're looking at that, maybe invest 5% of your portfolio, maybe 10% at the most. But if you're putting half of your portfolio to some crypto that, you know, 20% chance it's going to blow up, that's what I would have done 15 years ago, but I would never do that now. I'm more interested in the 6% return a year, or the 12% return a year, but it's compounding interest and real estate. You know, a really good investment portfolio. So about half of my investments are in real estate. The other half are like the stock market, like diversifying that out. And maybe I'll take 2 to 5% and put it in more riskier stuff now. And I think if you do that at a young age, over the next 10, 20, 30 years, you're going to build up financial freedom with far less risk than if you're just throwing everything into one thing.
I've learned to focus on single, instead of having one big win, having small wins and just build on the small wins. I forget what his term, Professor Scott Galloway, he talks about this. It's like, focus on single home runs, single runs or
Singles.
Focus. Okay, it's like whatever.
Like baseball.
Okay, baseball. See, there you go. I had no idea it was baseball. Okay, all I heard is he said like focus on the singles versus one home run. Okay,
because you're going to strike out at
it. So that's where it comes from, baseball, and that has helped me a lot, especially in the last 1 or 2 years. I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't have to go crazy. But I do want to go crazy on my business because I can control the effort,
you have far more control than like, you know, what is it, Dogecoin
and Shiba Inu.
And those might be great investments, and hopefully it works out, but it's just a lot more risk. You don't really have much control there. You know?
This has been incredible. Listen, if you found value from this, you gotta share this with your friends and family. I'm gonna be watching this. You know, our last video, I've watched it endless times. I mean, I've taken my content marketing. I've become much, you know, let me tell you this. Yesterday, your CEO in that 90-minute call, he said something. And I said, why did Jeremy's stuff hit? Right? Because we're in an event, 6,000 people here. There's probably at least 10%, 600 people wanting to get into sales, right? But Jeremy has cracked the code, and he's cracked it at a global scale, global level. And I asked him, you know what he said? He said, we make our free stuff so good that even if people don't buy, they still get value.
Like tell everybody else.
Like yesterday, I watched a reel, I think, right? And I'm like pausing it and writing it down, and I sent that text to a lead, right? I didn't say, hey, I'm following up. I'm like, man, I can't ever do that. That's like...
No, it's true. You'll go through some of our comments. It's interesting to me because you'll see like 500 comments of like, man, I didn't think this would work, and I tried it, and I had 3 people respond that have been ghosting me for 4 months, and then some other dude would be like, this would never work, I'd never try this, and I'm like, too bad for him. He has too much of an ego. He thinks he knows everything about selling and communication, and that's why he's stuck at the income he's at. So I feel bad for some of those people, actually.
Well, on that note, Jeremy, I do want to say, I appreciate you very much, brother.
Thanks, dude.
As a friend.
You're my bro.
Mentor. Dude, I can talk to you for ages. We're gonna go and we're gonna go hang out. So if you enjoyed this, Comment below. Let us know what your biggest takeaway is. And we'll see you next year. Same time
We'll
next
see you
year.
next year, brother.
All right, bro,
Thanks
much
everybody
love.
for watching.
Welcome to the stage with 2 Comic Club X Awards.